It is the Harp type that debuted in Meteorot S, HAP00 Marie Crown, with a kit of First Aid, Double Sacrifice, Float Legs, and the Revenger leg ability, which grants 20% armor to a restored part from broken status instead of the traditional 10%. Now, right off the bat, this leg ability makes it very clear that Marie Crown's kit of being primarily sacrifice-oriented is built to be as friendly and as accommodating to that particular drawback of the broken part as possible, while still maintaining a rather solid edge and competitive edge in battle, even with the constant breaking and restoration of parts. First Aid is a setup-based skill that puts a restore plant on the field anytime that herself or an ally, that the user or an ally will complete a heat phase and have a part broken and missing. The repair plant will kick in automatically and restore that broken part, or a broken part if there's more than one, to 10% of the lost to 10% of the arm of the part's HP. So pretty much is like that passive restore. First Aid is arguably one of the best setup-based skills you can use in the game as of current. Traps and plants do kind of have their uses depending on where you use them, but First Aid is arguably one of the best there is, which already puts Marie Crown a step above the rest, especially in comparison to, say, Belzelga, who has basic restore, which requires active use of the part in order to restore broken ones. Whereas with Marie Crown, First Aid is essentially a one and done. Sacrifice arms, Marie Crown has the melee variant, which means that it is a up close and personal type of attack. But just to go over briefly what Sacrifice does, it is a high power and high damaging base attack that adds up to 50% of the arm's total remaining HP into the base power when attacking, and then after use, the part then breaks and self-destructs. So that extra HP definitely will come in handy, especially if you choose to use power-up chips. In this case, HP is highly recommended, so you can feed into that extra power. But the leg ability of Revenger's where it really comes into play for Marie Crown, in the sense that even though she will be constantly losing her arms back and forth, the First Aid setup does allow her to passively restore those and continually use each arm back and forth as long as she's not overly pummeled or overly punished in between rounds. And the Revenger leg ability ties into that even more, because you get an additional 20% to your restore to a broken part instead of the standard 10, which gives her just a little bit extra base damage to draw from, because from that point forward, she'll be eating 10% of the total HP instead of the traditional 5 that she'd be getting before. If it was a pure set score, I would very easily rate Marie Crown a very solid 8 out of 10. Float legs mean she's very good on most any terrain. The Revenger leg ability can work very solidly just about anywhere really, but more primarily with healers in this case, as it mostly doesn't apply just to her, but I believe to her allies in this case too. But mostly because of the fact that she can fight by herself very feasibly as a sacrifice-based bot and not have to really have anyone support her or give her any further assistance from the outside. As mixed parts, I would rate her just a hair lower, if not equal, at a 7.5 out of 10, primarily for the reasons stated above, that float legs are great on any terrain, First Aid is always fantastic no matter where you put it. The arms probably won't be seeing a lot of use on mixed builds unless you plan to make use of it with, say, Otogi Princess or someone who has Restore or All Restore, so that you can still maintain use of those parts even after you break them the first time.